Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, as we are in Psalms today, because today is Sunday, so every Sunday we look at the book of Psalms, and we are looking at Psalm 56 today. Last week we talked about in Psalm 55 how that psalm related to the story of Absalom and the advice of Ahithophel and Hushai, and how Ahithophel's advice was confused here. So, and if you remember before that, the Sunday before that, I'm asking a lot of you. I'm asking you to go back like 3 weeks and remember that. But in that psalm, in Psalm 54, we went back to 1 Samuel 23, and in that psalm, we talked about. Did we talk about that then? No, we talked about that in episode 52. Okay, wow. So this was episode 52, so that was like 5 weeks ago. So in Psalm 52, we talked about how David had gone to Nob, and then when he was there, this guy comes and David was like, he didn't really worry about him, but then later on he was betrayed by this guy in Psalms, in 1 Samuel there. He's betrayed, and the guy tells Saul everything that happened there. And that was at Nob. And so what happens then is all the priests at Nob are killed. Well, today's psalm, this story is actually, in the heading, it says how this psalm relates to how David was captured at Gath. We don't have evidence how he was actually captured, but this passage here in 1 Samuel 21 actually talks about his time at Gath. And you could, once you read it, you're like, oh yeah, he was captured there. And he did some crazy stuff to get out of being captured there. So it's entitled today, You Have Delivered Me from Death. And you're going to see in the story here in 1 Samuel how David was delivered from death, and then the psalm relates to it. So I want to read first 1 Samuel 21 verses 10 through 15. This is a shorter section. Last week, if you remember, it was a long section I read. But today I want to read just 1 Samuel chapter 21 verses 10 through 15. So, and this is right after David has fled, and Doeg, the Edomite, had betrayed David. Okay. He hadn't betrayed him yet. This is like right in the middle of that story. Verse 10, That day David fled from Saul and went to Achish, king of Gath. Gath is a Philistine city, all right? And the Philistines were traditionally enemies. However, they were now kind of allies with David because he was looking for a safe place to go, to flee. And he actually had his parents and stuff later sent to the Philistine area. He spent a lot of time with the Philistines while he was hiding from Saul. Verse 11, But the servants of Achish said to him, Wait a minute, isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't he the one they sing about in their dances? And this is the dance they sing. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. All right, so the advisors to Achish are going, Wait a minute, this guy David is here, and he's a more powerful soldier than Saul. Why is he here? And they said, this is that song they sing about him. Verse 12, David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So it says, verse 13, So he pretended to be insane in the presence, and while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the doors of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard. Okay, he acted like a crazy man. Verse 14, Achish said to his servants, Look at this man, he's insane. Why bring him to me? Am I short of a madman that you have to bring this fellow here to carry on like this in front of me? Must this man come into my house? So he was, let go because they thought he was a madman. He was acting all insane with this. This was his way of getting out of the capture, because surely they would capture him and say, you know what, you're more of a warrior than Saul, and Saul has killed his hundreds, and you've killed your thousands. And so this was his way of escaping out of that. Let's turn back now to Psalm 56. And this Psalm 56 ties in with this. And it's entitled, You Have Delivered Me from Death. So it says this in the heading there for the director of music to the tune of O Dove on Distant Oaks of David of Mixtim. With the Philistine, when the Philistines had seized him in Gath. All right, we just read that. It says, Be merciful to me, God, my God, for my enemies are in hot pursuit. All day long they press their attack. All right, so he's running from Saul, and then he runs really into the enemies, and he's trying to stay with the enemies. And they're now realizing this guy needs to go also. Verse 2, My adversaries pursue me all day long. In their pride many are attacking me. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you, in God whose word I praise. In God I trust, and I'm not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? All day long they twist my words. All their schemes are for my ruin. They conspire, they lurk, they watch my steps, hoping to take my life. Because of their wickedness, do not let them escape. In your anger, God, bring the nations down. Bring the nations down, specifically the Philistines here. Verse 8, Record my misery. List my tears on your scroll. Are they not in your record? Then my enemies will turn back. When I call for help, by this I will know that God is for me. In God whose word I praise. In the Lord whose word I praise. In God I trust and am not afraid. What can a man do to me? I am under the vows to thank you, my God. I will present my thank offerings to you. Verse 13, For you have delivered me from death, and my feet from stumbling, and that I may walk before God in the light of life. Okay? David is there. He's in Gath, in front of the king of Achish, and he's been told that you're in trouble because you're more of a warrior than Saul is, and Saul's a bad thing for the Philistines. So how much more is David going to be a bad thing for the Philistines? And so he cries out to God. And then this is in verse 13, but for you have delivered me from death. All right. So it was sure death that was going to be happening to him there, but God delivered him in that situation. All right. And God will deliver you in the situations you're in. You need to ask for God's help first. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through the book of Numbers, and then next Sunday as we continue our journey through the book of Psalms. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.